On the skies of East Asia in the 13th century, the Mongol horses thundered across the continent like storms. Everywhere, fortresses crumbled, dynasties fell. And yet, on the small land of Darvirt, there stood a king clad in armor, riding through fire and smoke, leading his people to rise. That was Tran Nhan Tong, the enlightened monarch who twice defeated the mightiest army the world had ever known. But then, when the flames of war had faded and peace returned to the land, he did something that left generations in awe. He relinquished the throne, left behind palaces of gold and jade, and ascended Yên Mountain in search of the way. There, he became the founding patriarch of the Trúc Lâm Zen School, a lineage of Zen carrying the very soul of the Vietnamese people. This question still echoes in our hearts. Why would a hero undefeated in 100 battles, a sovereign revered by his people, choose the path of the brown robe, withdrawing into the silence of mountains and forests? To answer, we must step into a journey both as glorious as history itself and as profound as meditation, the journey of Tran Nhan Tong, the king who became a Buddha. Trần Nhân Tông, born Tran Kham in 1258. The very year Darvirt repelled the first Mongol invasion, entered the world amidst the triumphant spirit of a nation newly risen from peril, under the embrace of the young and vigorous Tran dynasty. From childhood, Tran Kham stood out with his handsome bearing, exceptional intellect, and the contemplative nature of an inward soul, who often sat silently in thought amid noise and bustle. Chronicles record that his eyes carried a divine radiance, both luminous and solemn, inspiring reverence in all who beheld him. In 1278, at just 20 years old, he ascended the throne as the third emperor of the Tran dynasty, taking the reign title Tran Nhan Tong. At that very time, the winds of history once again howled. Mongol horses still prowled in the north, eager to invade Darvirt once more. In the face of such peril, Nhan Tong was not alone. He had beside him founding heroes like Trun Quoc Tuan, the Grand Commander Hung Dar Vung, loyal generals, and above all, the solidarity of the people. In the two great wars of 1285 and 1288, the young king, together with Hung Dar Vung, inscribed eternal pages of history. The victories of Ham Tu, Tay Ket, Chung Dung, and most of all, Bark Dong River, where the surging waves swallowed the Mongol fleet. Nhan Tong was not only a ruler, he was the soul of his nation. He donned armor, rode into battle, shared hardship with soldiers, and tasted both sweetness and bitterness with the common folk. This spirit of unity bound the people together, transforming Darvirt into a fortress of resilience before the invincible enemy. And yet, deep within, amid the flames of war, the young king began to nurture another thought. When swords are sheathed and peace returns, is the throne truly the ultimate purpose of life? Or is there a greater path, the path of enlightenment, of renunciation, and of compassion? After the resounding victories, Darvirt entered a time of peace. Yet at the very moment when the throne was most secure, another call began to echo in Tran Nhan Tong's heart, the call of the Dharma. From childhood, he had been fascinated with Buddhist scriptures. In the stillness of midnight, when the palace was asleep, the young king would quietly read the sutras, contemplating the truth of impermanence. He saw clearly, today's triumphs would become tomorrow's ashes, and the radiant throne itself could not escape the law of impermanence. In 1293, after 15 years of rule, Tran Nhan Tong passed the throne to his son, Tran Nhan Tong. He withdrew as a retired emperor, and not long after, he renounced politics altogether, donned the brown monk's robe, and left behind the resplendent palace to climb Mount Yên. That image, an emperor once majestic on the battlefield, now carrying only an alms bowl, walking into the misty mountains, became an immortal symbol in the heart of the Vietnamese people. It was not an escape nor a retreat. It was a voluntary choice, born of a soul that had grasped the essence of life and wished to walk the full path of enlightenment. On Yên, he took the Dharma name Dio Ngur Jack Huang. He lived a life of ascetic practice, meditating, teaching Zen to disciples and even to villagers from near and far. His Zen philosophy was not merely about inner tranquility, but also a bell of awakening, blending the spiritual and the worldly. He once taught, Ku Trun Lak Daur, to live amidst the world yet rejoice in the way. This was his unique vision, enlightenment is not separate from life. Every step, every breath, every ordinary act can be a doorway to truth. The journey from throne to Yen Tu is a living testimony. Power and glory are not the ultimate destination. Only by letting go can one truly touch freedom. On Yen Tu's cloud-covered summit, Tran Nhan Tong was not merely a hermit seeking salvation for himself. He opened a new stream of Vietnamese Buddhism, the Trúc Lâm Zen School. Before him, Buddhism in Đại Việt was deeply influenced by India and China, with many different sects. But Trúc Lâm arose as a synthesis and transformation. Simple, intimate, imbued with Vietnamese spirit. He brought Buddhism out of abstruse scholasticism and back into everyday life, where people tilled the soil, carried water, and defended the nation. His philosophy was clear: engaged in the world Nyurpte, live amidst society without abandoning responsibility to humanity. Detached from the world, Swathe, keep the mind serene and unattached so wisdom can shine. He condensed it into 4 words: Kutran Lak Dar, meaning to live in the dusty world yet find joy in the Dharma. One need not retreat into remote mountains to find the Buddha, right in daily life. Farming, fetching water, trading, raising children, every act can become a practice, if lived with mindfulness and compassion. Under his guidance, the Trúc Lâm Zen School attracted countless disciples, from kings and scholars to ordinary peasants. His Zen poems and verses did not only inspire practitioners, but also touched the hearts of generations. Live joyfully in the way, adapt to conditions. When hungry, eat. When tired, rest. The treasure is within your own house, don't search outside. Facing things with no mind, why ask about Zen? At Trúc Lâm, Buddhism was neither distant nor abstract. It became a spiritual force that nourished the entire nation. After long years of resistance, the people needed a light to heal their wounds, to continue living and rebuilding. And Tran Nhan Tong, once a wise emperor, became a Zen patriarch guiding the way for his people. In 1308, Tran Nhan Tong passed away on the peak of Ngoar Van, Yen Tu. He left the nation not only a glorious dynasty, not only immortal victories on the Bac Dang River or the fields of Chương Dung, but also a spiritual path known as Trúc Lâm Yen Tu. His legacy was the fusion of Buddhism with the soul of the nation, a Buddhism fully engaged with life, so that every person, whether king or commoner, general or farmer, could find the light of liberation within this very existence. The message he left for posterity is simple yet everlasting. The greatest strength of a nation lies not only in swords and spears, but in its inner spiritual power, in awakening, in unity, and in compassion. True happiness is not found in thrones or riches, but in letting go, living in harmony with the Dharma, and finding peace in each breath. More than 7 centuries have passed, yet the image of Tran Nhan Tong remains, at once a heroic king and the Zen master who founded a holy Vietnamese tradition of practice. He taught us that living in the world, one must keep the heart pure, facing storms, remain serene like a mountain. And when reaching the pinnacle of power, one must have the wisdom to let it go, to return to absolute freedom. Tran Nhan Tong, the king who became a Buddha, is not merely a historical figure. He is a mirror for us to reflect upon ourselves, to realize that amidst the ever-changing currents of life, each of us can discover the path of awakening and live a life truly worth living.